Commander Zexthul had seen 1,000 worlds burn before the Devourers came to harvest them. His crystalline carapace bore the scars of 50 campaigns, each marking a failed attempt to stop the unstoppable. The insectoid swarm had consumed entire star systems, leaving nothing but dead rock in their wake. Now they had come for Earth, and the Galactic Council had written off the small blue planet as another inevitable loss. "The humans are soft," Admiral Korvac had declared during the emergency session. "No natural armor, no claws, no enhanced reflexes. They'll be consumed within days." Zexthul had nodded with the others. Every species had their strengths. The Caraxians had their impenetrable scales, the Velthorians their lightning speed, the Nexari their mental shields. Humans seemed to have nothing. They were pink, squishy creatures who wore artificial shells called armor and relied entirely on crude projectile weapons. Even their homeworld was pathetically fragile, mostly water with a thin atmosphere that would dissipate with the slightest stellar wind. But the Council had protocols. Even doomed species deserved a liaison, someone to document their final hours for the archives. Zexthul volunteered, expecting to watch from orbit as another civilization joined the vast graveyard of the galaxy. He hadn't expected to find himself standing in a bunker beneath the ruins of something called New York, watching a human sergeant, named Martinez, clean her weapon with methodical precision. "First time fighting Devourers?" she asked without looking up. Her voice carried no fear, only a weary professionalism that reminded him of veteran soldiers from a dozen worlds. "No," Zexthul replied, his translator rendering his clicks and whistles into human speech. "I have witnessed their arrival 47 times. "How many times have you fought them?" The question caught him off guard. "Fought them? You cannot fight the Devourers. They are a force of nature. Like gravity or entropy, you can only delay them." Martinez finally looked up, her dark eyes meeting his compound ones. "We'll see about that." The attack came at dawn. Through the bunker's reinforced walls, Zexthul felt the familiar vibrations of a Devourer landing craft boring through the earth above. Soon, thousands of chittering mandibles would pour through the surface, reducing everything organic to component proteins. "Time to go," Martinez said, shouldering her rifle. Around the bunker, other humans were doing the same, checking ammunition, testing communications, saying quiet words to small photographs they kept in their gear. Zexthul followed them to the surface, intending only to observe. What he saw defied every tactical principle he'd learned in 3 centuries of warfare. The humans didn't retreat. They didn't seek high ground or defensible positions. Instead, they moved forward, directly into the writhing mass of Devourers emerging from their boreholes. Their weapons were primitive, chemical explosives and metal projectiles, but they used them with devastating precision. "Suppressing fire on the left flank," Martinez shouted over the cacophony. "Jackson, get that rocket on the big one." Zexthul watched in fascination as the humans adapted to each new threat. When Devourers began burrowing underneath their positions, they detonated charges that collapsed entire city blocks. When flying variants took to the air, they turned their anti-aircraft weapons skyward without missing a beat. Every loss only seemed to make them more determined. "Why don't you retreat?" he asked Martinez during a brief lull as they reloaded. "Where to?" she replied. "This is our home." A new sound cut through the air, the deep harmonic that preceded a Harvester Queen's emergence. Zexthul's blood went cold. He had seen queens before, massive bioships that could level continents. Nothing survived their attention. The queen rose from the East River like a mountain of chitin and malice, her spawn pods already opening to release the next wave of attackers. Every species in the galaxy had learned the same lesson. When the queen appeared, you ran. The humans opened fire. Their rockets splashed harmlessly against her armor. Their bullets ricocheted into the ruins around them. The queen barely noticed their efforts as she began charging her plasma cannon, a weapon that would reduce several city blocks to glass. That's when Martinez did something Zexthal would never forget. She stood up from cover, completely exposed, and began running directly at the queen. Not retreating, advancing. "What are you doing?" Zexthal shouted. "What humans do," she called back. "Something stupid that might work." Other humans followed her lead. Not because they were ordered to, but because seeing one of their own charging toward certain death somehow made them unable to do anything else. They ran into the face of annihilation, screaming war cries in a dozen different languages. Zexthal found himself running too. His rational mind screamed that this was suicide, but something deeper compelled him forward. He had spent centuries watching civilizations die with quiet dignity. Here was something else entirely, a species that chose to meet oblivion with defiance. Martinez reached the queen first, her small form disappearing under massive claws. But in that moment, she activated the device she'd been carrying, not a weapon, but a beacon. Every military satellite still in orbit locked onto her signal and fired simultaneously. The kinetic bombardment turned the queen into a crater and sent shockwaves through the Devourer fleet. For the first time in their species' history, they hesitated. In that moment of uncertainty, human reinforcements emerged from hidden bunkers across the globe. The battle raged for 73 hours. When it ended, the Devourers were retreating, their supposedly inexorable advance broken against human stubbornness. Most of their ships were destroyed, their queens dead, their invasion force scattered. Zexthal found Martinez in a field hospital, bandaged but alive. The beacon had somehow malfunctioned at the last second, giving her just enough time to reach minimum safe distance. "Impossible," he said. "The Devourers don't retreat. They don't know fear." "They do now," Martinez replied. "Turns out they'd never fought anyone crazy enough to charge a queen on foot." When Zexthal returned to the Galactic Council, his report changed everything. Species that had cowered before the Devourers for millennia suddenly found their courage. Not because humans were stronger or faster or more advanced, but because they had demonstrated something the galaxy had forgotten. Sometimes the soft things are the most dangerous because they have the least to lose and the most to prove. The Council never called humans feeble again. How could they? A species willing to die standing up was far more terrifying than any natural armor or enhanced reflexes. As Zexthal often said in the years that followed, the humans taught us that strength isn't about what you can withstand, it's about what you're willing to face.